Before we get to today's podcast, I want to remind you of another great ESPN podcast, the Woj Pod. Every week, Woj chats with the newsmakers in and around the NBA, players, coaches, executives, and more. This week, he discussed the passing of Kobe Bryant with Ramona Shelburne. Download and subscribe to the Woj Pod and The Right Time wherever you get your podcasts. 2020 is going to be the year you get it together, right? Join that gym, start that diet. Nah. But how about getting out of that job and into a career in information technology? There are millions of unfilled cybersecurity positions in the U.S. right now, and My Computer Career is training people to help fill them. No IT experience or education? No problem. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You could start your new life as an information technology professional in months, not years. Attend classes on campus or live online just a few times a week to get what you'll need to start your new career. More than just a school, My Computer Career helps you get into the industry by working with hundreds of employers that hire our students. My Computer Career is nationally accredited and financial aid is available for those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Classes start soon, so make New Year, New Career your resolution and take the free computer evaluation today at mycomputercareer.edu. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You didn't give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It's time of week where we do interviews. Got my man here from Yahoo Sports, Vinnie Goodwill.
That almost rolled off your tongue kind of naturally.
Yeah, dude, it's not my fault that you go by like 4 names.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying, right? You trying to figure out how grown you want to be in front of all these people. I'm trying to help you be the man that you want to be.
Well, I got a beard today.
You do. Hold on, let me see. Oh, snap. Yo, if y'all follow me on Twitter, you'll understand what a big deal this is. Hold on, come this way. Come this way a little closer. Yo, Vinny's beard's connecting. Welcome to 2020. Oh, snap.
It's only this side that's always been good.
Yeah. I need a new joke though, because it was right in here. It didn't quite make it all the way.
Now it's coming.
Yo, yours might be fuller than mine because I got that notch right there.
Yeah.
That don't come together there.
Well, yours is just naturally more full than mine.
Yeah.
Look.
No, but you're getting there, baby. You're getting there.
You know what? I'm not going to take this level of patronizing.
It's not even being patronizing. Seriously, come on now. Look, we know this. You are, for a lot of people in this game, you got like a little brother role to folks. And it was added to it by the fact that your beard wasn't connected.
Well, nobody knew I could actually grow anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. So now that you're here, man, you might finally start getting the respect you deserve as a grown man. They gonna stop talking to you like that.
You act like I'm 5'7".
Nah. You know, hey man, welcome to grownness. You know,
at 35, I should be actually grown at this point.
That's right. You are 35.
Crazy, right?
That's right. I had you as an 85 baby, but you were 84.
Yes.
Oh, damn, you're 35.
Yes.
Damn.
Life is moving, man.
I can't imagine how many cats are like, damn, Vinny 35?
Yeah.
Mark Spears got to hear that and be like, damn, what I've been doing.
Man, Mark, Sherrod, like everybody who's close to me, like, wait, I meant you when you were, 26 and you're 35 now?
Yeah, DA?
Yeah, well, I met you when I was 25.
I met you when you were 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, man.
That was at the start of the decade.
You know what was even a long time ago? I said long timer ago. Longer time ago? When I was 25.
Ooh, yeah. I didn't know you when you was 25.
You didn't know when I was 25. Nobody in this game knew me when I was 25. I wasn't in this game when I was 25.
Were you closer to 50 than you are 25?
That's certainly a way to look at it. That's one way to look at it.
I'm just saying.
That's a way to look at it. Wow. Anyway.
My bad.
How's your week been? Like, I feel like I have to ask everybody this.
This is the longest week the longest week, dude.
Yes.
This is, like, I was talking about it yesterday. This is going to be like a state funeral.
How are they even going to do it?
Well, someone explained it to me last night that Kobe's Catholic. So they're going to probably have something small at his, church or whatever, place of worship, that type of thing. And then it's going to be like something and then it's probably going to be something at Staples.
Right.
Right? Like Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Right?
But I'm trying to think how the league can even participate in this because there's a whole league that is going on
It has to be the league
at the same time.
It has to be the league taking over because you got to think the Lakers are still mom and pop.
Right.
So it's not like they're...
No, they're not built for this.
Yeah, they're not the New York Knicks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, New York Knicks are very corporate and everything else. The Lakers are still a family-oriented organization. You got to think about, grief counselors and stuff like that because Kobe was a Laker employee and had these connections and everything. The league's going to have to take over for this.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, like, who's going to be there? You know what I mean? Because there are going to be so many people in so many places, like so many players. And I guess, and this is going to be, I think, a cruel thing for a lot of players in this. They are the biggest Kobe fans in the world.
Yep.
But they're fans, right? And so planning this can't be around, and I'm just throwing a name out there. It's not particular to him, but like, I'm sure Spencer Dinwiddie wants to come to this funeral.
Right.
But we can't, like, try to get this around everybody who's trying to come, right? So I figure they'll try to find an off day where the Lakers themselves are in town.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is, it's just, we started by talking about what the week is. I can't describe what this week has been, right? Because one thing for us, and this ain't about us, right? I want to be very clear about this, but we work in this. There is no get away from this, right? Like this has been an immersion in Kobe, his memory, and all the emotions that come with this, like day after day after day. Like I came in here on Monday because people were still here on Monday before they started heading down to Miami for the Super Bowl. Like Jalen was here on Monday, and I saw him, talked to him for a little bit. Stephen A, did his segment here. And the grief was just kind of palpable in the air because the one thing we all got in common here is that we care about sports, So like that was in the air and then people started like leaving, but then our shows are still talk about Kobe, right? And then the next day we're talking about Kobe again. Like today is the first day that I don't think we have a Kobe topic in our show necessarily. And it's just felt like it's gone on forever.
It's the longest week ever. Like to give you a sense of perspective, my Sunday was supposed to be my rest day. Like literal rest day. Last Monday was David Stern's memorial.
That's right.
So then I flew to New Orleans right after that for Zion's debut. Think about how long that feels, Zion's debut.
That was just last week.
And it feels like a month ago. So from there, I come back here for a day. I go to Atlanta the next day to do the Turner show that I do. The next day, I fly back to Jersey, train to Philadelphia for LeBron passing Kobe on the all-time list. And then when I come back here on the train, I'm getting calls and texts, and that's when me and you were corresponding.
Yo, we were both just like, what? Like that was all we had was just like, what do you mean, Kobe Bryant?
And think about it like this. Normally when you hear about accidents, something happening, usually it's accident happens, someone's wounded, they're at the hospital or something like that. There was no lag time to say, oh, I hope Kobe's all right, or, I hope his family's okay, or that type of thing. We just got it. Kobe's dead.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was no way to even prepare or, you know what I'm saying? Grease yourself up for the possibility. It literally just popped across like he's dead.
Right. Like I remember when Prince died, because I was in Paris when that happened, actually.
Yeah.
But the stuff started coming across that someone has been found at Paisley Park, right? And so you kind of got to, had a way to do it. And so I was able to call some people who would know, and they let me know, like, nah, this is it. And so then I was able to call people that I knew would, be directly affected by this, and then they could go from there. But there was the, oh my God, tell me it's not true period. We didn't get that for Kobe. We actually got that for his kids, right? Because people were like, yo, sorry, were the kids on the helicopter? And then we found out the kids, plural, were not, but one was. And so we found out in the beginning, it's like 5 people have died in this crash. And then we find out that it's 9, right? And it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse in that way. And then just the outpouring of emotion came. And I've talked about this on this show and other places. I was not a Kobe fan, and I'm okay with saying that's just what it is. I can't be a fan of everybody, right? I was not a Kobe fan. We got lots of jokes off on this show about Kobe. It was respect too, but we got lots of jokes off. Man, this hit me in the chest, and we tried to process it on the last episode and just talking about it, but there's just no way I could have ever seen it going like this.
Well, I think it's a number of things. For one, and maybe it's more so for me because I'm hitting a certain age when you start thinking about these things, but you didn't expect Kobe to die. Like the biggest thing that ever happened to us in our lifetimes in a culture standpoint, Michael Jackson and Prince. Michael was 50, Prince was 56, 57?
58.
Okay. But there were things that happened that precipitated that loss.
57, sorry.
You know what I'm saying? There were things that precipitated that. Prince had that near scare where a plane had to come down in Chicago where I was living at the time. You know, so not that it was a shock, but you know what I'm saying? There was ways that like, okay, you can connect the dots. Michael Jackson, we had all been hearing rumors for a certain period of time. So then when it hit you, like, okay, it's jacked up or whatever, but you can connect the dots. There were no dots to connect here. And the way that it hit me was like, dude, this thing is finite. Like, we all get reminders that it's finite, and I think we're mourning a certain loss of our own innocence.
Yeah, I think there's something to that, like just the idea that this could happen. And we were just talking about him yesterday.
I was just in his hometown, and LeBron was talking about him. So Kobe was top of mind. I wrote a piece, you know, basically saying that Kobe and LeBron were heirs to Michael in the way that they understood their responsibility as ambassadors to the game to show up every night and to basically give you a virtuoso performance, even if they didn't play well. Like, that's something that's not here anymore. And then this is how Kobe takes over the world one last time. Like, dog, this was just messed up.
Yeah. And we're not, like I said, we're not done.
No.
We're not done. This is going to go. We finally, you know, got word from, you know, we heard from the family for the first time. And that's an interesting thing because I understand people like the family doesn't owe you anything, and they don't owe people anything. But I also think that overwhelmingly people just want to know they were okay.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that people were coming from a very positive place in this, and they just wanted to know, like, how is Vanessa Bryant, who has spent her entire adult life being Mrs. Kobe Bryant. Like, let us not forget, they drew up papers. The settlement was all there. Just never put them in, right? And my thought was always, what are you supposed to do if you're Vanessa? And since you were 18 years old, you were Mrs. Kobe Bryant. Like, oh, well, you're supposed to stop, right? I'm just going to go be somebody else now? Like, that had been my thought. I don't know if that's the case, but now she is not Mrs. Kobe Bryant. Or she is the widow of Kobe Bryant.
And not just that. My thought is, how do you mourn two people at the same time?
Yeah.
Like, how, like the daughters, the older sister, you know what I'm saying? You're Kobe's firstborn, and you lost your younger sister and you lost your dad.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The two younger ones
they don't know.
They don't know yet. It's hard for them to grasp, but the older one and Vanessa has to mourn her husband and her child. And each loss in itself is devastating, but to, you know, for both of them together, like, that to me is beyond overwhelming. Like, I don't know how you compartmentalize that.
Yeah, like the roughest thing for me to watch, like, of the images that we got, did you see the clip at the Mamba Academy? Where they were, you know, waiting for them to get there.
Yeah.
Like, you got a room full of kids, and we got to come out here and be like, Kobe died. Kobe died, right? Like, that is basically the equivalent of Christmas morning. You get downstairs, how come there ain't no presents? There was a sleigh accident. Santa's not going to make it.
That's literally what it was.
What I mean. That's where we were.
Bo, like I said, there's no precedent for this.
No.
And like, even when like Muhammad Ali passed, or, you know, even the David Stern situation, like, we can rationalize that. Older men, we kind of eulogize those people while they were still alive to some degree, especially Ali. But this one, Kobe, I think we felt like, Kobe was moving to a different space.
Yeah.
More so as a parent. We had just seen him courtside in Brooklyn a couple of weeks before. Like, we were starting to view Kobe in a different space compared to the Kobe that he had always shown us to be.
Right.
And there's always this feeling like we always have more work to do. So you can't, like, whether you're, you know, faith, not faith, whatever, like, some of these things are really just hard to, you know, negotiate internally. You know, especially us who travel for a living. We don't travel in helicopters, but we travel.
Right.
Like, oh, this can happen to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is tough, man. Like, so it's almost like I'd rather be focusing on Kendrick Perkins and Kevin Durant's meaningless Twitter beefs right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not even talking about anything else.
But then they would have had to get it. Well, at least Perk had to go all heartfelt about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, Perk, we need beef right now. We need you two to argue about something petty. I would have appreciated that.
What I wouldn't kill for a Bobby Petrino incident.
Yes,
right now.
something, man. Like, I don't know what would have to happen in the news that was really, the Super Bowl is coming up. Ain't nobody talking about the Super Bowl. And when they're at the Super Bowl, what are most of the clips that you've seen come back from the Super Bowl people talking about?
They talking about Kobe. Richard Sherman talking about Mamba mentality. All these football dudes, this is right up their alley.
Yes.
Mamba mentality. mentality.
Yes.
Play through everything. Don't admit you're hurt, anything like that.
Well, I also imagine that a lot of these football players, when they play basketball, they play basketball. I don't know if you've ever watched the football team at intramurals or watched the football dude just wind up on the team. They are approaching this. The Mamba mentality is strong. Clear out. Clear out. I got this. I got this.
I'm backing. If he's a big dude, I'm backing you down. If I'm not a big dude, I'm doing everything I can. To just go out there and do some type of twisting, spinning, fadeaway that has no chance of going in.
I tell you who had the original Mamba mentality. I tell you about my brother's stories about hooping with LT.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So my brother used to live over there in Jersey, where LT would be around. And he said he'd go to the gym, and LT would show up with his partners. Right? Now, this is in the late 90s, early 2000s, in that space.
Okay.
He'd be in there. And they say the way LT would hoop was, and some of y'all have heard the story before, so, he say LT had a ball like 2 steps, big steps behind the 3-point line. LT would put it up, and when he would put it up, he'd go, LT in the house! LT in the house! There, right there. LT in the house. That's that Mamba mentality, because that's how football players hoop.
Oh, my God. So that was Kobe before Kobe?
Yep, LT in the house. That was how football players hoop. Like, I do feel like now we should be at the point that we can get back to, laughing at Kobe stuff. Cause we got a little bit of people sending them Lou Williams clips. And him talking about, and this tell you everything about how once you die, all of a sudden things we didn't like become cool, right? Like him telling the story about Kobe coming in there talking about none of y'all can wear my shoes cause y'all are soft. Man, who are you talking to right now? I paid for these shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like you should have run that purity test before you sold them shoes. You should have made people fill out a questionnaire.
Well, wasn't that like Mike? Didn't Mike tell Luke Longley or somebody like that? Like, you can't wear my shoes type of thing?
Well, my favorite from Mike was Mike used to call Will Purdue Will Vanderbilt because he didn't deserve to be named after a Big Ten school.
How savage is that?
What are you doing, right? What are you doing? Because Kobe, all the savage stuff, because all the savage stuff that comes out, it was always kind of funny before. Because the thing with Kobe also, that I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I want to get what you think about this. So when LeBron came in as a high school player, there was an understanding on the front end what this was, right? This is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. This is going to be the next face of the NBA. And everything was very carefully manicured and all this stuff, right? Like, you think about this. LeBron, we ain't never heard no story about LeBron having to deal with these cats trying to get in his pocket. We ain't never had no story about LeBron and all the people that were around him. All of that was planned for. There wasn't a plan for that in 1996. You know what I mean? When you come out there, so as much as Kobe was more exposed than the average person would have been at that time period and had a confidence that the average person would not have had at that time, he didn't have the army of people around him that were this is how we're going to get you to this next step and everything else. In a lot of ways, he was figuring this out for himself. And so we watched him have some hiccups and some bumps along the way that we didn't see from other people.
Well, you got to think about it. LeBron was in such an adverse situation that people had to wrap their arms around him, because they're like, look, man, this kid can make it and we have to help him make it because look what's around him. And once Nike got involved, that changed the game.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Even before the numbers, but once Nike got involved, that's an entity and invested in LeBron Inc. That changed the game. Kobe didn't sign with Nike initially. You know what I'm saying? He was with Adidas and the marketing wasn't as, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't as mature as it is now. There wasn't as much of a genuine investment in someone that young before. So we got to see, like you said, we got to see Kobe because in a lot of ways, you saw him coming he was Jelly Bean Bryant's son, but Jelly Bean Bryant.
That didn't mean nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't make as much of a mark. We found out who Jelly Bean was because we found out who Kobe was. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So it was Kobe lived, in my opinion, he lived as complete a basketball life as we'd ever seen, even more complete than Michael Jordan.
Yeah, because Jordan had a time at Carolina. A complete NBA life would probably be the better way to put it. Well, also think about this difference between Kobe and LeBron. And this hit me the other day. Kobe had a completely different adjustment, a very Lakers adjustment, but a different adjustment in the sense that LeBron got dropped off in Cleveland, and they were like, yo, this is yours. From day one, This is yours. We're going to build this around you and everything, all that structured around you. Kobe went to the Lakers. That ain't the same thing. They didn't do that with Magic. They didn't do that when they traded for Wilt Chamberlain, right? None of these, other than Kareem.
Right.
Nobody was getting dropped off here, and we're like, yo, this is yours. And so with Kobe, he's there viewing himself the way that we viewed LeBron. And there were honestly people who thought that, but it was a different time. You were the 13th pick in the draft, not the first pick in the draft. You're coming in as a player off the bench. We're not throwing you in because in 1996 NBA, you could not throw him in and make him a starter. I'm not sure you could have thrown LeBron in and made him a starter at that point. It was just a different league at that point. And so he gets thrown in there where LeBron is like, hey, you're the man, and we're going to build you up to be the man. Kobe had to, for lack of a better term, earn it, right? Like he had to earn a different kind of respect because when he came in, he's fighting for playing time. Eddie Jones has got to be looking at him like, and?
Right.
Think how cold Eddie Jones was. And they were like, nah, you got to go. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I think in 97, Eddie Jones was an all-star while Kobe was playing in a rookie game.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Think about that. And Kobe made his mark in that way, but Kobe got there when Shaq got there.
Yep, same year.
Same year. And think about it before that. And there's like, this is just interesting timing. Magic came back in January of 96 and then he retired. And then a couple months later, Shaq and Kobe get there. There's very little gap. There's maybe a full season gap between the fact that from 1975 to 2016, there was always an all-time great on the Lakers roster. Kobe was not anything special in the way that the Lakers view something, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
As special. Like, he had to take it.
Right.
And I want to say he appreciated more, but he was like, no, this is mine.
Yeah, it wasn't ordained.
Right.
It wasn't ordained. He got there with, okay, I can't say the best player in the league because Jordan had come back by then. But Shaq was Shaq. Like, we got to remember, in that 2-year time that Jordan was out, the Shaq thing had been established. He hadn't won a ring yet, but this was the guy the TV package was built around. This was the one-name star of the NBA. And Kobe winds up there in the year that Shaq is coming and trying to establish himself.
You got to think 7 and 120.
Yes.
Like, so Shaq's coming in, walking and swinging everything. Like, I'm here now.
At a time when the big man was still the big man. Like, that's still, Shaq was the latest in a long line from George Mikan to Wilt Chamberlain to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar into Shaq, right? We're talking there, depending, Mikan's hard to quantify, but you got an argument there that we're talking about 4 of the top 6 or 7 best big men of all time, right? Shaq was the next one to be in there, and now he's got this dude that's over here that's like, yo, but I'm going to be the best ever, and I need to be put in the places to be the best ever. And I'm in here grinding because that was the one thing both he and LeBron, no one had to tell them they wasn't working hard enough.
Well, the thing was, Kobe looked at who was in front of him. I'm better than you.
Yep.
The thing about the audacity of Kobe sitting at the draft, Allen Iverson gets drafted, Ray Allen, Kerry Kittles. And I'm not going in order of the draft. I'm just saying guys that are comparable, like quote unquote scorers with pedigree. Kerry Kittles played at Villanova. And Kobe's probably at Lower Merion like, I can kill him.
How about this? How much you want to bet that at some point Kobe went to Villanova to hoop and killed him?
Remember Stackhouse?
That's right.
And Jerry Stackhouse don't seem like the type that would take any guff from a 15-year-old.
No, but Stack was like, no, man, he came to play. Like, that was the fearlessness, man. Like, he looked at all these dudes and was like, yeah, I'm better than you.
And I can admire that. Like, I can respect the gangster of that.
I can. And I can also understand why it is that people were not trying to hear it. Ever.
You're 17 years old. Go sit down somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, that's the thought because it was so unthought. You got to think, Garnett came into the league the year before that. Mm-hmm. But he was 7 feet tall.
Yes.
With a unique skill set. Like, you could understand it. And KG's struggle in his rookie year, but you could see that coming along. We talking about a 6'6" skinny wing.
Right.
Who, as much as the Jordan comparisons, like, hold weight, he wasn't as physically talented or gifted.
No.
Was.
That is a key difference. And I think that is something, especially people who are not of that era can't understand about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a plus athlete. Kobe wasn't that. And I'm not saying like Kobe was unathletic, but Kobe wasn't what Jordan was as an athlete. There was a power to Jordan. Like the reason that Kobe's not as good as Michael Jordan, right? And there's no shade in saying that. Kobe's not as good as Michael Jordan. But the big part of that was Michael Jordan was so strong, right? Like in the shoulders, in the core, like all of this. He was so strong. His game was not a virtuoso game. Kobe's game was a virtuoso game. Mike's not so much.
Well, think about the year that Kobe gained weight.
Yeah.
Gained that muscle. I think that was like 2003, after the three-peat. He gained the weight, and then the next year, he couldn't hold it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Mike held that 225 basically from 91 until basically to the end of the decade, or basically till baseball and everything else in his body changed and then changed it back. Mike could hold that weight. Kobe couldn't. Like when you think of Lakers back in Kobe 2009, that's a guy who was playing at right around like 200 pounds, 205 pounds. Mike was playing at 215, so you were feeling him.
Right.
All on, you know what I'm saying? That poster, he was wearing you down.
Right. See, what Kobe could do, and this is the difference between Kobe and Mike, what Kobe had for you was, I'm going to put all these moves on you out here on the perimeter, and what I can do is, I'm going to take a shot, and you might be directly in my face, but I have prepared for the possibility that you are going to be directly in my face, and I can make this shot, right? Like, that's the unstoppable of Kobe. The Mike unstoppable was, I'm going to the rack. I'm going right there, and I'm going to yam on you and whoever else is waiting on me when I'm down there. That's a different scenario.
And then you got to think old Mike. The difference with old Mike and Kobe is Mike, let's say Mike's at the top of the key. I'm picking one spot on the floor. I'm getting there in one dribble. I'm putting my body on you and my quickness on you, and you're not stopping me from getting to my spot. Whether I make the shot or not is on me.
Right.
But you're not stopping me. Kobe is like, I can hit any shot at any spot on the floor. Bad shot, good shot. I'm getting there. Mike is like, I'm getting to my spot and you can't meet me there.
Right. Like Kobe was a different force of will.
Yes.
Right. Like it was Mike's thing was, you can't stop me. Kobe's thing was, in spite of what you do. Right? And not like, but Mike, ain't nothing you can do with this. Kobe, in spite of what you do, because there are things that you can do. You can get this all right. And his thought was, there's going to be a hand in my face. Little do you know, I have practiced taking this exact shot with my eyes closed. Literally. I don't know if he actually did that, but would you be surprised if you saw Kobe in the gym with a blindfold on, just catching passes and taking shots?
Well, look, he was being guarded by Shane Battier, which is basically like playing with a hand, like literally a hand in your eye.
Yes.
So he probably, after that, yeah, he probably did.
Right. Like that's where he was, man. But there's so, like, as a figure around this, I talked about this on the podcast a couple of days ago. Basically, Kobe was positioned on the opposite side he was positioned on the opposite side of history. He was positioned on the opposite side of the present, and he was positioned on the opposite side of the future. He was on the opposite side of Jordan. He was on the opposite side of LeBron. Then he was on the opposite side of Allen Iverson. Right?
And the opposite side of Shaq.
Yes. Yes. And by the way, no one has ever been on the opposite side of a dude on his own team. Like, I don't feel like back in the day, and I could be wrong about this, right? I don't feel like back in the day that you had to pick if you were a Laker fan. So who you got, Magic or Kareem?
No.
I don't feel like you had to do that.
You're a Laker fan.
Yeah. We was all on the same squad. And maybe part of that is because Magic was a point guard, you know, and so it contributed in that way. And there was a more obvious and natural transition into it being Magic's team because of what Kareem's age was.
Right.
Shaq got to L.A., he was what, 25?
Yep.
25. Like, that's what I think when I look back at the two of them. I couldn't grasp at the time, man. Them dudes were so young.
We think of 25 being a completely different, when you're at the age that we were at when that happened. We're looking at 25 as a full grown man.
Yes.
Like, and you are, but there's so much more that you don't know at that point.
Shaq had been in the league for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. He had just been in the league for 4 years. Like, I think for me, like covering sports, one of the most interesting things for me is reaching an age where I look at the athletes and realize, damn, these dudes are young, right? So like you see that quote Zion had about them trying to put the stats in his face, and he's like, yo, man, I'm only 19. I just want to hoop. On one level, I'm like, that's cool. If you want to be treated like a 19-year-old, you should have stayed at Duke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this is, you decided you wanted to come play with the grown-ups.
Can't play both sides.
Yeah, you decided you wanted to play with the grown-ups. Now you got to come play with the grown-ups. But on the other side, I see Zion. Like I met Zion in Vegas this summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this dude's 18. or 19, whatever he was on that day. It just hit me in the face like, wow, you're so young. You know, and I'm there and I'm talking to his parents, and his parents are like, yeah, let him know. We're going to give him a little more freedom as time goes or whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, I see what you mean. You know, like, cause these cats are so young. And I think, cause I done got some hell from people like, you hated on Kobe his whole life. Now he dead and you being nice about him. Well, yes.
That's what happens.
That's. Would you like me to just play old Kobe clips? No. But at the same time, I do, as things went along. And for me with Kobe, as it went along, it was actually in the progression of my career that I had like a much better understanding of Kobe stuff, right? So like one thing, for example, I used to do a show called Highly Questionable with Dan. And, you know, I love Dan, right? But me and Dan didn't really know each other when we started doing that show. And so Dan is the made man in this game. Dan is a Shaq-like figure.
Yep.
I'm this young dude that's like, I've been telling y'all that I could do this, and now it's my time to do this. Now, I went in a little more deferential on that sort of thing than Kobe did. But that was my thought, like, yo, I'm supposed to be here. And I was like, yo, I'm going to prove that I'm supposed to be here. And I felt like I ultimately proved that I was supposed to be here. And then after about 4 years, it was like, now it's time for me to go somewhere else. Like, I need something that feels a little bit more like mine. Right. And that didn't make any sense to me with Kobe. It's like, how about this? How about you just pass the ball to the big man? Mm-hmm. Can't nobody guard him. Like, you think nobody can guard you. I know nobody can guard him. Why don't you pass the ball to the big man? Like, why you too good to pass the ball to the big man? And he's like, nah, I just need some. I've been in here putting in this grind, and now I needed to pay off with something that's, you know, a little bit more mine. That makes no sense to me at that earlier point in time. I got no life experience that's in line with that.
Right.
You know, then you get to this. I was thinking about when I started doing Around the Horn. Because, dog, I was 30. None of those people knew who I was. Well, at least none of the white people. The black people did, by and large, because NABJ, right? like I see, you know, J.A. doesn't see me around. You know what I'm saying? Michael Smith, I know him. Like, I know some of those dudes. Man, I came in there kicking down the door. It took some years for me to get cool with some of those people. And
I remember how some of them used to treat you on the air, like almost dismissively.
Yeah, but you know, you saw how that went, right? But I get it, right? Who are you? What makes you think? And then you see and they're like, okay, well, this guy's got some level of talent. Still, that's not entirely what this is about. Like, who are you? Now I'm real good with all those people. I mean, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
In case you want to feel old. That was 10 years ago. You know, but now we get cool. But like, those are things about Kobe that I couldn't understand them myself without some life experience. Like that skipping high school, going straight to the league sort of thing. He then got accelerated into some like experiences, workplace experiences, we're just going to be honest, that I don't think any of us, while you watching it at the time, you just can't consider that.
I mean, think about from Kobe's standpoint, the level of confidence that you have to have. Like, don't get me wrong. When things went bad for the Lakers, people blamed Kobe, but they didn't blame Kobe because of how he played. They blamed Kobe because of there was the perception of how Kobe thought of himself.
Yes.
Whereas if Kobe had played it a little differently publicly, Shaq would have always been the human shield.
Yes.
Shaq would have always caught that wreck if something went wrong.
Yes.
So Kobe's ambition, while it hurt him, it actually worked out for him. Like I've always said, the one thing I would say that I was kind of right on, when they traded Shaq, I was like, they made the right move.
Yeah,
like,
they did.
No, and at the time I said they made the right move because I was like, this ain't 2000 Shaq anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he had been hurt the year before, and he was gaining weight and all this other type of stuff, and you just couldn't see him aging well. And Kobe, you weren't sure if he could lead the team to a title singularly.
Right.
But you could at least see Kobe putting the work in year after year to get better. And whether you could build a team around him was on you, but you wouldn't have Kobe being this albatross.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, at that point in his career.
Well, I think the tricky thing that happened in that 03-04 season where they signed Gary Payton and they signed Karl Malone and they lost in the finals to the Pistons. The tricky thing about that season was Shaq was slowing down, but you couldn't tell because everybody was sacrificing shots. So everybody's numbers were down. Like you go look at that 04 season. Yeah. Kobe's numbers are down. Shaq's numbers are down. All because they're trying to figure out how to make that work and everything else that went on along with it. Shaq had 36 and 20 in game 4 of the finals. And that's the end of that era of Shaq. Like he got to Miami, he had an MVP caliber season in 05, but it was not a great Shaquille O'Neal season. And then in 06, he's the third leading scorer in the finals for the Heat. I believe Antoine Walker scored more points per game in that series than he did. The decline had happened. The thing with Kobe was, and I do think he got criticism, not so much for how you say he didn't get criticism for how he played.
He did get not as much.
Right, but not, I think he got criticism for how he played, but not how well he played. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he scores 35 points a game in 06. That's playing very well, but there's only one way to score 36 points a game, and that's taking a whole lot of shots. At the same time, LeBron is up there in Cleveland with a team of similar talent deficiencies and getting them to Game 7 against the Pistons, getting them to the NBA Finals, right? And so that raised what I always thought were legitimate questions about Kobe's approach. And look, Kobe's belief was, I got the confidence to make this shot. I don't have the confidence that you guys can make this shot. But what he wasn't good at was instilling that confidence in others. Because you notice in all these obituaries and all this stuff we're hearing about Kobe, you know what group of people you're not hearing from that much?
05, 06 Lakers?
Yeah, like the Lakers who weren't that good. You know, because look, Smush Parker, the problem with Smush Parker was not that he was bad. Actually, when I looked at those numbers, Smush Parker played a little better than you would think. The problem was, why is Smush Parker the third leading scorer on this team? You know what I mean?
Overexposed? You know what I'm saying? Being overexposed, being in a role that does not quite fit you.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I think the 07 team, I think the second or third leading scorer was Luke Walton. It was the third because Lamar was second. Yep. Luke Walton was the third leading scorer on that team, and that team got to the playoffs. So on one hand, it's like, yo, Kobe, you the man for getting this roster even to the playoffs or to this point. It worked for him poorly in comparison because it's like, okay, but you do gotta you can't just say, y'all, I'm gonna do it all myself.
Right.
And we had an example. It was LeBron James, right? LeBron was showing that there was this other way that you could go about doing it. And I think that's where people like me, when we start talking about Kobe, that's where it was like, I don't know about this. But ironically, the 2013 season where he's got Steve Nash and they got Dwight Howard and Pau Gasol. And that year, Kobe was like, fine, man, give me the ball. I'll do everything. And that season, I was cool with it because I watched it and I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. This is what it has to be.
You could see the games leading up to the Achilles injury. You could see it. You could see that ending happening exactly the way that it did because he was pushing himself to this point. We was playing 48 minutes a night.
It was John Henry.
He was guarding point guards and stuff maybe not doing it well, but just the physical exertion that it took. But to your LeBron point, I'll say this. I don't know if I saw a more, physically with my own eyes. I was not born when Michael Jordan was 21 years old. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant at 21 might have been the most incredible player I've ever seen at that age.
All right, so Kobe at 21 is 99?
No, I'm thinking 01.
Okay, so that's 23. Because he's born in because he's born in 78.
Yeah.
August 78.
So so that 01 Laker team.
He was so good that postseason.
He was just from the fact of you're playing with peak Shaq, and Shaq is in all of his Shaqishness.
Yeah.
So you only have but so much room to be yourself.
Right.
And he was so damn efficient, man.
Well, what he had, because remember, Shaq was the finals MVP and should have been the finals MVP that year. But they played, was it San Antonio in the conference finals that year?
Yep.
Okay, so San Antonio still has Tim Duncan and David Robinson.
Yep.
So this means it's Kobe time. And it was Kobe time. Didn't they what was it, Sacramento? I think they swept the series before that.
48-16 in game 4.
Right. Those were series that were lined up for Kobe Bryant to be that dude. And what you have to give him credit for, and I think again for me, I didn't appreciate how young 22 was, the ability to be that dude at that point.
He was literally just the LeBron thing from a standpoint of physical domination of a game and possessions and everything else. I get it. I got it. But Kobe didn't look bigger, stronger, better than everybody. All his shots were tough shots. It was hands in his face.
Yeah.
He was driving by you, but you were there.
Yeah.
LeBron, when he did that 48 special against Detroit, he blew by everybody. You know what I'm saying? There was a level of just you ever seen a player who looks bigger than the floor?
Right.
You know, like that. I don't know if that makes any sense
Totally
whatsoever.
understand.
But LeBron looked bigger than the floor.
It's kind of like the first time you watch an LED TV and everything's out in front.
Yes.
Yeah.
LeBron looked bigger than the floor, so you can understand. You're like, it's an incredible, like, dominance that you can see, like a tour de force or whatever. He blew by Tayshaun. He blew by everybody. I got that. Kobe was not that physical marvel in that way that made sense.
Right. And it's interesting you mentioned that because I think that what there was to credit under those circumstances was also what there was to frustrate. Because when you're talking about, yeah, he's hitting these shots with a hand in your face. You're like, oh, why you always taking a shot with your hand with a hand in your face? You know what I mean? Like that, that's kind of the juxtaposition that you wind up with. And that's part of what I think what ultimately made him as a figure so polarizing. All right, we'll be back in a minute with Vinnie Goodwill, but first, it's a new year. The perfect opportunity to take your business to the next level by hiring the right people. But finding qualified candidates can be challenging. ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani makes it easy. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply to your job. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 4 out of 5 of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. That's ZipRecruiter.com/BOMANI. ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. I have been kind of touched by the outpouring of emotion and seeing the importance that people have for Kobe. But as I got these people and these bots, because this is the bot part as well. Yep. But as I had these people on you should have appreciated Kobe more when he was alive, I got to decide how many more days I'm giving y'all with this.
You got to let it go. Because here's the thing. We don't even know when the funeral is going.
No, you're right. I'm letting it go. But at some point, we can resume having the conversations that we used to have about these things.
I agree. And here's the thing. I was literally talking to somebody about this last night at in Brooklyn. This cycle is going to go in a million different directions. Like we're coming sort of towards the end of a cycle, like a week long. Then whenever his memorial happens, the cycle starts again. And then All-Star Weekend, there's going to be a cycle. And then at the Final Four, there's going to be a cycle because that's where the Hall of Fame inductees are announced on, I think, the Saturday or Monday or whatever, right? So then there's going to be another cycle there. And then there's going to be a cycle at not the start of the playoffs, but at the start of the finals.
Yeah.
There's all these different cycles where we're going to have to go through it, especially on the Twitterverse.
Man, I'm just saying the Kobe Stan, the thing about this is the Kobe Stan is a human. But the Kobe Stan is still a Kobe Stan, boy. And I'm seeing it happen on the internet for everybody. The Kobe Stan is starting to bubble up into his Kobe Stan place, right? Right? Like he is starting to return to his natural form. He is starting to round back into shape. And there's going to be this awkward period in between, like the tail end of the grieving, but them still feeling like themselves. That's going to be the optimal combination of getting on my nerves.
So
it's going to be right there.
What will you do?
I don't know, because I can't win.
No, you can't.
Right?
So don't fight.
I can't win. I used to, we can't even have fun back and forth with the Kobe Stans right now because it's deeper than rap. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than that.
It's bigger than Nino Brown, man.
It's bigger than Nino Brown, man. But the Kobe Stan is still lurking.
Well, here's what I would give Kobe Stan. 2 points. Young Kobe, I believe, was so firmly underrated because he was put against Shaq.
I agree.
Like, we cannot properly contextualize young Kobe because we spent so much time. Well, if Tracy McGrady was over there, they'd be winning championships. Player X was over there, he could do the same thing.
I agree.
Not quite. Kobe was kind of sort of the only guy that could take advantage of that window.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In that way. And secondly, and this is the weirdest, it's just the weirdest part of it all. I understand Kobe Stan to some degree.
Oh, I get him now.
Well, here's why. And I thought about this, and it didn't make sense until I put it all together. If you are a player who is, and you said it, you're put against Allen Iverson, put against Shaq, put against Michael, put against LeBron, you're not usually going to win those arguments, right? So invariably, you're always going to be on the losing side of something and thus feeling like you don't get enough respect.
Right.
I.e. Isaiah Thomas.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
He's the other guy that's in that place.
So I get it, because you're like, no, I'm fighting for this person's place in history because you refuse to see it.
Yes.
Isaiah was put against Bird, Magic, Michael, and got his skins on the wall. But then you're like, well, Chris Paul is better, or John Stockton's better. Someone across from me once said Chris Paul is better, and we're not going to get into that.
Look, I'll tell you this. I didn't say John Stockton. How about that? Give me some credit. give me some credit for that.
And then you got other players from other franchises that just like popping off at the mouth about Zeke and all that. But we gonna just let that, we gonna let that ride. But I get Kobe stan because you're feeling like you're never going to be properly appreciated. And now they're like, welcome aboard.
Yeah, well,
we've been here.
But some of them are like, welcome aboard. Some of them are like, you should have been nicer to Kobe when he was alive. And I'm like, we had a disagreement, man. Like I just happened to see this differently than you did.
But you never said that Kobe wasn't a top, like, I think at worst Kobe's top 15 or something like that.
Yeah, worst I had him at top 20, but that's including all these centers that complicate the discussion. But that's at worst.
Right, at worst, and at best people are going to, like, Kobe Stan, what is Kobe Stan saying? Greatest player of all time?
Some.
Okay, like,
I think that the term GOAT has now come to not mean GOAT.
What's the mean of Kobe Stan? Is the mean of Kobe Stan, he's better than Michael, better than LeBron, better than everybody? Or is the mean of Kobe Stan, he's better than you think?
I think the mean is in between Jordan and LeBron. And I think that was the thing with me with Kobe was always, I just don't think he's as good as you do. But I had a colossal respect. Like, I always talk to people about this. It's like, oh, no. Like I used to say on this show, there are ways in which I wish I was more like Kobe Bryant. Like as a person, like as someone who looks at the world in this way. I was like, yeah, I wish I was more like Kobe Bryant.
Well, here's the crazy thing. I think I have him top 10. Or maybe right at like number 10 or something like that. Like I haven't gone through the exact thing, and I may have him and Duncan like right together because Tim had a certain institutional advantage that Kobe never had.
Yeah, I think there's something to that, right? So like when I start going like listing in that way.
Cause you have to put bigs, and also you have to put the bigs of Russell and Chamberlain and all those guys in a completely different
See, that's key. Because if we're taking them out of this conversation.
And that's unfair, right?
Right. But because the problem is this. If we leave them in, these are guys that hardly anybody, you make an argument about Jordan. Like, you have a hard time telling me about all these cats that was better than Will Chamberlain. I'm sorry, man. I went on YouTube. What do you, you want to talk about who could play today? Will Chamberlain could play.
Did you see the clip of him just casually throwing up hook shot three-pointers at the forum?
Yes.
Like just literally like, yeah, I'll just do it. Yeah, throw it up.
But what you can't grasp is how strong he was, right? So like Russell, Wilt, Kareem.
Yep.
Trying to think if I'm missing any of those. Like we're not putting anybody. Then we get Jordan, right? Then we get Magic. Like we're at 5 right now. Now we're adding LeBron into this. Now we're at 6. Them spots at the end are kind of scarce, man. Like,
is he better than Larry Bird?
And that's a tough question to answer, man.
Because if you look at Larry Bird's 5-year peak and LeBron's 5-year peak, they're almost exactly the same numbers.
So the thing with Bird, and this is always what made it interesting trying to compare him to Magic when he thought about it.
Because he came in so much older.
So much older. He's 3 years older than Magic was, right? He came in after 5 years in college. He was 22, 23 years old when he hit the league. Magic was 19. But to the kids out here listening to this, because I really don't know if YouTube is doing justice for you and you can't properly understand it. And y'all can act like all them dudes that, the UPS.
Plumbers.
Yeah, you act like the UPS man was playing in the NBA in the 80s. I understand everything you were saying. Larry Bird was so damn good. So good. He's so good.
He was walking 50, 40, 90 when it wasn't like, you got to think, dudes were accomplishing those numbers when it wasn't a priority.
Yes.
They were just out there playing basketball.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, I got to shoot 50 from the line. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That type of thing. They were just out there playing.
Dude, the Celtics were out there with 3 white dudes in the starting lineup in 1986 and had what was legitimately one of the best teams
ever
of all time.
40-1 at the Garden.
40-1. I don't know how they lost the 1.
I don't know who they lost to.
I don't even know. I need to look that up.
40-1. We have to ask Bob Ryan. Can we bring Bob Ryan?
I'm sure Bob Ryan knows. I'm sure Bob Ryan knows.
You know who might know? My guy Hubie.
Oh, I'm sure Hubie would know too.
I don't think you've ever heard my Hubie.
I have not heard your Hubie.
You have not heard my Hubie.
Do Hubie.
Oh my God. You got to give me a scenario. Like.
Okay. So the Lakers down 2 points. And Anthony Davis has not had a good game.
All right. You are the Lakers. You're down 2. Anthony Davis has not had a good game. LeBron James is having a fourth quarter meltdown, and Frank Vogel is on the sideline looking like he needs a Mylanta. What do? All right. You put the ball in LeBron's hands. You go 1-4. You say, hey, come defend us. We'll see if you draw the double team. We'll kick it to Anthony Davis, and boom, we got a 3 right there. Let's see what happens.
That's Hubie.
That's Hubie.
That's Hubie. I love that man. He's
the GOAT.
Yo, I'm about to say, I'm a little surprised what came out of me after Kobe died. Hubie dies, man. I'm gonna be inconsolable.
Game over.
I'm going to be a wreck.
What I've realized is that certain people have been such an integral part of our lives, and we have not realized it.
Yes.
We don't know a life without like Hubie Brown being like a certain voice in our, lives to some degree.
Yes.
Kobe Bryant being a certain point. Like even LeBron to some degree. We know what life is like as adult-ish people without LeBron there. Some people don't, but we do.
Yeah, but I don't know the Kobe-less life, for example. I don't know.
Exactly. This is so different. And we can't reconcile it. Like even Michael Jordan, when it happens, I think Michael has become such a reclusive figure. And you think about the difference between Kobe and Mike.
Yeah.
Mike came into the league as a frat boy. He was a Q. So he was used to being around people. He could bust chops and everything else. And then as he got older,
and he had been a college freshman.
And he had been a college. So you know what that's like to be at the bottom of the totem pole and have to be able to fit in. Kobe came in as a loner. So when Mike was evolving and getting more famous, he had to be reclusive. He retired because everything was so, you know what I'm saying, so encompassing. Kobe came in as a loner and left as the person who wanted people around him, wanted people to call him and be big brother.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, he realized that he'd done it wrong, right? Like, he realized that singular focus on being the best basketball player of all time and this idea that you don't need friends and all this stuff. No, he looked up and was like, nah, it's kind of whack. That's not really going to do it, because all these people that are coming back and saying how much they love Kobe and how much they talk to Kobe, ain't a lot of them saying that was my friend. Like, you hear more people refer to him as a big brother than you've heard refer to him simply
like
as
there
a
was
friend.
a level of connection there that Kobe didn't crave. And I wonder if that came from him growing up in the league and coming to Philly and sort of being outcast-ish, but just being really talented.
Well, who was he supposed to hang out with? Like, at every level where he was, who was he supposed to hang out with? Like, he would have really been well served probably with a year of college.
Yep.
Just to have and figure out, like,
just to hit the reset button on just to recalibrate everything.
Well, think about this. All this stuff we talk about with Kobe and all these different people he hooped with and stuff. Kobe spent a lot of time around grown-ups because that was where his talents were kind of taking him. Like, I can tell you this from personal experience. I spent my childhood around adults. I did not spend my childhood really around children. Like, I'd see like cats from school at school, but we lived 25 miles away from where I went to school. So like, I was not hanging out after school with kids, like the high school party thing. Like, I didn't really know nothing about that. I had some, I had friends, but I did not kick it in that way. And then I got to college. This is the first time I've ever been around people my age. They did not like me very much at all, because I did not know how to interact with people my age. I had no clue.
And you were younger.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so that's something I could look at, like with Kobe, and just be like, okay, you probably came up kicking it around a bunch of grown folks. And now you're out here kicking it. And by the way, I was in college. My parents were college professors. And so I go to college and I'm not intimidated by the idea of being in college. I've been in college my whole life. This dude's not intimidated by the idea of being in the NBA. He's been in the NBA his whole life. And so he's showing up over there and he's got this confidence, and people don't understand, like, why in the world are you kicking it? Like, like all those things come together. And it sounds like what the NBA was for him was just kind of like an extended college in that way, to be like, oh, so this is what people are good for. I had not, like, I talked to somebody, this was almost 10 years ago now. And he was like, at that time, he told me, and he knew this. He says, Derek Fisher has never been to Kobe's house.
You know, it's funny, and it reminds me of this. Remember, and I'm someone, a devotee of the Martin Show, at least the first 2-3 seasons. Remember the show where Jodeci was on there?
Yeah.
And Tommy Davidson, and Rerun played like a cameo. And Tommy Davidson was like this Johnny Carson, Jay Leno-ish figure or whatever. And Martin was trying to get like his 3 minutes. He was trying to get his stand. He was trying to get his Eddie Murphy moment, right? And Rerun was on the show, And Martin had forced his way on stage and all this, had interrupted Jodeci's thing, classic moment, all sort of stuff. I'm just setting the scene for you guys listening. So he says, yo, Rerun. Rerun stands up. He says, how many times have I invited you to my house? Rerun's like, hundreds. How many times have you actually been to my house? None. What would happen if you came to my house, Rerun? I'd probably get sprayed. Yes. That's why I picture Kobe and Derek Fisher.
Hey, gang, get ready to play that whole music.
Thank you for your patience. A representative from the right time will be with you shortly. Your current hold time is
15 seconds.
I really wish there were a place for us to have that discussion, because I ain't the only person that thought that when they saw it.
That's so funny.
I ain't the only person that came across that and was like, oh, no.
We don't need that.
We don't need that.
We don't need you.
No. We all good, baby. We all good.
But it's funny you say that, because I came to college at 17. Mm-hmm. So my first semester, I really couldn't party.
Right.
Because they asked for your ID. If it's a party with, college ID, I was cool.
Right.
But my birthday was in December.
Right.
You had a whole 3+ months before I turned 18, Jack. And that's critical time when you're trying to establish yourself. So think of it in the context of Kobe. All these dudes is hanging out, and Kobe like, man, A, I can't hang out even if I wanted to. And B, I'd rather be in the gym anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? I bet you would rather be in the gym if you don't know how to relate to the people around you. And I don't mean that as shade.
I don't think he wanted to.
Yeah, but if he had, I do wonder, if he had a more seamless integration into social stuff before, would he have then wanted to? Now, of course, we don't know, right? But these are the things that they all feed together to give us the guy that we ultimately got. And so for him, that's why he's like, yo, I care more about this than anybody else does. I know I care more about this than anybody else does. Hell, I might care about this more than I should, but I care about this more than anybody else does.
Dog, this is because we'll never get certain things are in the mythology of Kobe. Right. Like the person that he's created, this figure. I believe that once he figured out, I can't beat Michael Jordan on the floor, I can beat him somewhere else. I can beat him in the crafting of this, you know what I'm saying, of this image and this figure. And we'll never get the definitive Kobe book or autobiography. You know what I'm saying?
They were writing it apparently.
No,
this author said he was writing a book that Kobe wanted to write that he hoped to inspire underprivileged kids. And now the author says that now that Kobe's gone, there's no point in the book. And I am fervently disagree with that. No. I would like that guy to find a way, if you can turn it into something. Right. If you can't, you can't, right? Right. But if you can turn it into something, no, man, put this out. I'm personally very curious about some of these things.
He's such a fascinating
But I also think when you talk about I can be better than Jordan at this stuff, I think that somewhere along the way, because I talked to somebody, and they were like, the injuries took Kobe to a place where he realized the value in this other stuff. Because I think one of my frustrations I had with Kobe was the obvious lack of value that he had in the people stuff. Yeah. I'm not, people, I see nothing noble about this idea of I ain't got no friends, we just trying to get the job done. That doesn't stir, I'm disgusted, honestly, by that kind of outlook. Me personally, that's just not the way I think that you should kick it. But apparently the injuries came and he realized, being the best at basketball only goes but so far. And that made him reassess his family life. And it sounds like it made him reassess these things with all these people that he's wound up making these connections with after the fact, right? But he learned and he figured out that there was a value in people. And I think part of what's interesting about that too is our whole society is devaluing people.
Absolutely.
Everything we do is basically about how we don't actually need to really talk to people. We got all these things that, I can text with people I don't want to see. I can do this, all those things. But Kobe came around on the idea that people mattered.
Well, that was the point that I was talking about, how Kobe and Michael basically completely different people. And I felt like Kobe had a complete basketball career. There was a scene, I don't know if it was Kobe's last year, maybe second to last year, whatever, but they were playing one of those preseason games in Hawaii against Golden State. And he was bodying Steph from end to end. And Steph, I gave him a shimmy, hit a three in his face, And Kobe literally came down the floor laughing. You know what I'm saying? Cause it was almost like, not like a, I'm glad you tuned me up there, but it's almost like you know what, if this was 10 years ago, I'd have been in a different place, but I appreciate
game recognized game.
Game recognized game.
And
how many old people do we, like, besides Allen Iverson?
Yes.
How many people do we see actively saying, you know what, man? That dude is cold-blooded. That dude, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That dude's a basketball killer. You know what I'm saying? We don't see that. We don't see people age out and grudgingly give those
because that's not what Mike was doing in 03.
No, not at all. And that's why Kobe gave him that 50 spot.
He did.
Ooh, that was ruthless.
He did.
No, the biggest thing for Kobe was, and I was mad at the time, and I was no Michael Jordan fan. I'm from Detroit. I get, you know, whatever, right? But Michael's last All-Star game in Atlanta, he gives the fadeaway in overtime. Everybody thinks that is the ending of it. We're thinking they're going to drop the ball at center court. This is the end of it. And Kobe's like, nah, man, I got to take this three. Like, y'all think this is the storybook ending. I'm giving it my own storybook ending.
Yes.
Like, he has the audacity to be like, I'm good enough to do this.
Yes.
Think of how many guys, like the next Jordans, the Vince Carters, the Grant Hills, all these other guys, and they fell so short that we never measured them against them. Like, Kobe was actually a threat to the throne in some way. Yep. Like, he wasn't never going to get there.
Right.
But he was close enough for you to actually have to entertain a discussion.
Yep. And I have to say this, in the end, I think if I were to describe, from what I could tell, if you gave me one word to describe what he appeared to be in the end, happy.
Yeah.
And guess what? Guess who's not? Right? Like, Mike is comically unhappy. Like, it manifests itself in hilarious ways. Kobe was happy, man. Kobe got, like
Kobe was cool with his place in history, man.
Right? And cool with his place in life, apparently. And that's all you can, I feel like, that's all you can hope for. Like, when this is done, are you happy with what you had? And the truth is, I'm not sure if we were to ask him this in 2016, like, or 20, more like 2013, right? Like, he was dealing with the injuries. Yeah. I'm not sure he would have been able to say that.
He was still chasing it.
Yeah, because everybody says that, you know, like, the thing about Kobe is he didn't waste a moment of his life. I'm not sure that's true. And the reason I say that is how much of that was strictly basketball for so long, right? Like, it seemed that what he realized was getting to people was the thing that did it for him. You know, because I'm with that. Everybody wants to pack in every moment of your life. Like, good luck with that, right? Like, you can try your best. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but no one's ever going to be, like, very few people are going to be satisfied with themselves. Like, you can always look back at some moment that you wasted or whatever it is, right? Cool, got it. But for him, I think, like, realizing the value that people played.
And that was the maturity, I guess you can say, evolution, that Kobe did not seem like a grumpy old man.
No. But he did seem like a grumpy 32-year-old.
Yeah. No. Right? I'm saying post Achilles.
Yeah. But you're right. But it's funny because he was grumpier in that period of time. Like, those dudes that played for those bad Lakers teams when Kobe was taking all the Lakers' money and not being able to play, they knew a grumpy old man.
That's true. But once that period of, I think Kobe was battling his health and still trying to get back and all this other type of stuff. And you still think you can catch it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I think once that last season came and everything else, and he thought and was like, you know what, this is the end of it. It hits you differently.
Yeah.
Like when I had a really hard time grasping that Kobe was embracing the tours at the end. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is not the dude I've seen play for X amount of years. Like, I had a really hard time wrapping my mind around the fact that he was being genuine.
Yes.
Like, I didn't believe it. And now I feel bad because I felt like in the time since, his life has taken a turn where that part of it validated it.
Right.
From 2015, 16 on, it's been a continuation of that. He's still throwing himself into everything. He's smelling the roses kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? He's still as obsessive and as driven and everything else, but it's not as just a singular focus. You know what I mean?
Totally get it. Happy, ladies and gentlemen, is the best thing going. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this thing a couple times a week. My man Gabe Bassain handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Vinnie Goodwill, Yahoo Sports. Thank you.
I was going to let you just go on your little Jerry Springer thing at the end.
I open it up for you to thank the people back or say you're welcome.
I appreciate it. Hey, give him 5 stars and all that. Subscribe and give nice comments.
Because if you only give me 4 stars,
you a hater. We are inclined to think you are a hater.
Boom. Give him a little back door just in case they not. Y'all take it easy.
Thanks for checking out The Right Time with Bomani Jones podcast.
You can listen or subscribe on the ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Right Time
with Bomani Jones.